all indications, it was a very, very good day for quarterback Trevor Lawrence. We will certainly get into that as we move along here with you on a Tuesday night. Let me set the guest lineup for you. Coming up in about a half an hour, Mia O'Brien. You get her every day on XL Primetime. We will talk a little Jaguar training camp with her. Also want to talk about the Book of Bo, the series that's going on, documenting Tony Boselli from when he started in the state of Colorado all the way up to getting enshrined into Canton next week at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Episode 3 came out yesterday. Episode 4 comes out Friday morning at 9 a.m. So Mia O'Brien will stop by to talk all things Jaguars coming up in about a half an hour. Coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, Seminole fans, Florida State football reported to camp today. You were on the practice field tomorrow for your first practice of fall camp. In fact, tomorrow is 1 month until Florida State begins their 2022 regular season against Duquesne. So we'll talk to Ira Schoffel of warchant.com over in Tallahassee about Florida State, as again the Seminoles are in camp and they will have their first practice tomorrow, which will officially begin year 3 of Mike Norvell there in Tallahassee. And finally, coming up later on in the 11 o'clock hour, my friend John Shipley from Jaguar Report, Sports Illustrated, will join us to look at the first 2 days of Jaguar training camp. Speaking of Jaguar training camp, every night here on Hacker After Dark, we give you a big deal of the night. And Dylan Denmark, let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Trevor Lawrence was very good today. Was very, very good today. Some people have him 18 of 18. Now, what does that mean? No pads. Nobody is trying to do him any harm. Nobody has any bad intentions for Trevor Lawrence along the Jaguar defensive line. So you're supposed to look good in a practice-type setting like today. But it's better than the alternative. I remember it wasn't that long ago that we came on 1010XL and talked about Blake Bortles throwing 5 interceptions in a training camp practice. 5. So I'd much rather be giving good news about the way your top 5 quarterback looked than giving bad news about the way your top 5 quarterback looked on day number 2 of training camp. As we all know, last year was not the year Trevor Lawrence had hoped for, the Jaguar organization had hoped for, and you, the Jaguar fans, had hoped for. And there were many reasons for that, but at the end of the day, your generational quarterback did not play like a generational quarterback. And he was already asked yesterday, is there any pressure on you to kind of meet the expectations here in year 2 that were not met your rookie season? And again, look, I'm not putting very much on Trevor Lawrence's shoulders. There was a lot involved last year. We know about Urban Meyer and the issues there with the coaching staff, the lack of talent on the offense, absolutely. But at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence did not play very well either. And I think he would even admit to that. He turned the ball over too much. 17 interceptions, that tied the NFL league leader for interceptions with 17 to only 12 touchdown passes. He went 8 games only throwing 1 touchdown pass. So there is a lot to improve on off of year number 1. Will he do it? Well, it's a good start. Today, again, documented 18 of 18 by most people that were out there. Looked very, very sharp. And Trevor Lawrence, look, he needs to. Because now we know that Trey Lance is San Francisco's guy moving forward. Mac Jones took the Patriots to the playoffs last year as a rookie. Justin Fields struggled in Chicago. Zach Wilson struggled in New York. But those are the guys that Trevor Lawrence will forever be linked to. Those 5 guys, those 5 first-rounders in the 2021 NFL Draft. And if you were starting an NFL team right now, and your option was one of those 5 guys to play quarterback, I think most people would still go Trevor Lawrence. Despite what Mac Jones did, despite some of the highlights that you saw with Fields and Wilson, Trey Lance is still a very big unknown. But Lawrence needs to play better. And that's why the Jaguars went out and spent big money on Christian Kirk. That's why the Jaguars went out and spent big money on Zay Jones and on Evan Ingram to upgrade the offense. I think they did. I know many of you think they did. I think it'll amount to more wins for the Jaguars. And we'll see if Trevor Lawrence can be the generational quarterback we all hope he will be. But in 2 days in camp, he has looked very, very sharp early on. As of today, every NFL team is now in training camp. Every one of them. Some made dramatic entrances, like Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay, dressed up like Nicolas Cage and Con Air, channeling his Cameron Poe. By the way, love the movie. That was the worst Southern accent. Well, was it worse than Brian Kelly's? I don't know. Cameron Poe and Con Air or Brian Kelly at LSU. They were both horrific Southern accents. But Aaron Rodgers looked the part today. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers feeling pretty good. He's got a lot of money in the bank account. Doesn't have Devontae Adams. You know, Green Bay is interesting. Everybody is assuming how good they're going to be because of Aaron Rodgers. And they're probably right. But you look at their wide receiving core, Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, Christian Watson, Robert Tonyan. Is that exactly scary if you're an opposing defense? Aaron Rodgers scares you. But they did not exactly do a whole lot to replace Devontae Adams. So they're, to me, one of the more curious teams entering training camp. But again, as of today, every team is either on the field or have reported. Beginning tomorrow, all 32 teams will be practicing with training camp, which leads me to this. And I always appreciate these summaries of the last 6.5 months of our life. What has transpired in the National Football League? Some things you'll remember very well from this offseason. Some things I bet you have forgotten completely about. Tom Brady retired. And then he didn't retire. Remember that? What was Brady retired for? A month? Maybe? And then he came back. Sean Payton stepping down from the New Orleans Saints. It is going to be very weird watching the Saints this year without Sean Payton on the sideline. He had been there forever. Brian Flores suing the National Football League. Remember that? Huge deal when it happened. Haven't heard much about it. I'm sure we're going to hear more once it gets further down the road here. But yeah, when Brian Flores sued the NFL, that was a very big deal this offseason. We mentioned Aaron Rodgers signing long-term in Green Bay. The wide receiver market in the National Football League. You could argue right here in Jacksonville, Christian Kirk and the contract he signed had a lot to do with it. But then you see Devontae Adams go from Green Bay to Las Vegas. You then see Tyreek Hill go from Kansas City to Miami. You see A.J. Brown go from Tennessee to Philadelphia. Cooper Kupp got an enormous deal with the L.A. Rams. Jarvis Landry is now a New Orleans Saint. All the movement at the wide receiver position this offseason. Pretty crazy when you take a step back and remember it. Defense in the NFL draft with Travon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, Derek Stingley, Sauce Gardner, and Kayvon Thibodeau all going in the top 5. Think about that. 5 defensive players going as high as they did. The end of an era in Seattle. Russell Wilson gone. In Denver now. We haven't seen the Seattle Seahawks play a football game when Russell Wilson wasn't on their roster in over a decade. You're about to in a very short amount of time. Same thing in Atlanta. Matt Ryan might be Mr. Atlanta Falcon. He's certainly in the conversation, certainly on the Falcons' Mount Rushmore. And he's gone to Indianapolis. So you have not one but two future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, both leaving NFC teams, coming over to the AFC. The Deshaun Watson saga, that is still going on. We don't have resolution to everything yet. Deshaun Watson going for a king's ransom. The Browns paying him an enormous contract, giving up a ton of draft picks, and we still are waiting for a suspension from the NFL. I am stunned that the Cleveland Browns are going to practice tomorrow, their first training camp practice, and the NFL has not told them the length of the suspension for Deshaun Watson. That is insane to me. What could the NFL possibly be waiting for? Amazing amount. And by the way, it didn't end 3, 4, 5 months ago. Baker Mayfield is a Carolina Panther. So Baker Mayfield, the number 1 pick in the 2018 draft, traded to Carolina, where he now joins Sam Darnold, the number 3 pick of the 2018 draft. And they are going to have what appears to be a pretty heated quarterback competition. Who's going to win, Baker or Sam Darnold? That is a very interesting situation for Carolina to be in. Baltimore finds themselves in an interesting situation. As they begin practice tomorrow, Lamar Jackson still does not have a new deal. We've seen gigantic money to Deshaun Watson, to Kyler Murray, to Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes. And meanwhile, Lamar Jackson's kind of in peril. Kind of flapping in the breeze a little bit. Still no long-term deal for him in Baltimore as the Ravens begin practicing tomorrow. And the big money that was spent in free agency. Right here in Jacksonville. We are the poster children for big money in free agency this offseason. You also forget, though, Von Miller signed a $120 million deal with the Buffalo Bills. Teron Armstead, $75 million with the Miami Dolphins. J.C. Jackson, Christian Kirk, Randy Gregory, Marcus Williams, all signed contracts worth at least $70 million. And there's quite a lot of franchise guys that never signed their deals that are set to become free agents again next year. The Jaguars got Cam Robinson locked up long term. They used the franchise tag on him twice. There was a period there for about a month. We talked every day about Cam Robinson until the Jaguars committed to him long term on a 3-year deal. That was not the case with Jesse Bates in Cincinnati, Orlando Brown in Kansas City, Dalton Schultz in Dallas, Mike Gesicki in Miami. All those guys were given the franchise tag this year. All 4 did not get long-term deals. They are playing on the franchise tag and will become unrestricted free agents again next year. And the Washington football team is no more. They are now the Washington Commanders. And the Commanders will play their first game with that name on September 11th against the Jacksonville Jaguars on opening day. Translation to all this, there was a ton, an absolute ton that happened this NFL offseason. But now that every team is in for training camp, every team is scheduled to be on the field tomorrow. Now the focus shifts to this upcoming football season. with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Hacker After Dark, our late show on a Tuesday night. Jacksonville, thank you for staying up late with us. As always, we are streaming. You can watch us on YouTube, the 1010XL YouTube channel. Just search for 1010XL. You'll see Hacker After Dark there. We'll be streaming until midnight tonight. Be sure and like and subscribe while you're there. You can also watch the show on my personal Twitter, at Ryan Green 1010XL. That's at Ryan Green 1010XL. More on the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up in just a moment, including some bold training camp predictions that CBS Sports has thrown out now that every team is in camp. One of their bold predictions involves the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think they're probably right. We'll talk about it next. Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday. We're glad you're with us, Jacksonville.
That goes to whoever that's closest to the actual retail price without going over. John, we're going to start with you. Go ahead.
10-10, Drew.
The price is 1010XL, and it's always right.
There are 16 spots in the playoffs and just one track left. Well, not just any track. Daytona. A last chance to keep playoff hopes alive and for fans to experience an event unlike any other. NASCAR Weekend at Daytona International Speedway, August 26th and 27th. Get your tickets now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
If you'd like to work part-time for the Jumbo Shrimp, attend their hiring event at 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark, Wednesday, July 27th, from 4 to 7.
The learning experience in Nocatee is raising funds for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and the Jacksonville Sharks will donate $5 for every ticket sold. Learn more at jacksharks.com.
The Creeks Athletic Association in St. Johns County offers a variety of sports for children 5 to 18. Learn how to get your child involved at caaleague.org.
You can play in the golf tournament benefiting the Derek Hatcher Foundation, combating the disease of addiction, August 13th at Eagle Landing Golf Club. Register at derekhatcherfoundation.org.
Builders Care is looking for volunteers, and there are so many ways you can help. Find out how at builderscare.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Summer Nights presented by 1-to-1 Financial is an evening affair benefiting Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida on Saturday, August 27th. Enjoy an evening at the beautiful Glass Factory as you sip premium cocktails, dance the night away with live music from the Bold City Classic. Taste delicious dishes from local restaurants like Black Sheep and win exciting auction packages. For details and tickets, go to tinyurl.com/1010 Summer Nights.
Men suffering from PE or ED, has Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra let you down? Regardless of your age or past medical history, you'll see results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center, or you pay nothing, guaranteed. Call us at 664-8217.
You know what's great about getting older? The toys are way cooler. Spring is here, and it's playtime.
Yeah!
And 1-to-1 Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union, has slash loan rates across the board on all the toys. Motorcycles, jet skis, boats, RVs, ATVs, even golf carts. And it's fun and potentially dangerous. 1-to-1 Financial has the perfect loan to help you finance it. Check out our rock bottom rates and apply now at 1to1fcu.org. Come out and play. Federally insured by NCUA.
What player has the longest hitting streak in Major League Baseball history?
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners' insurance rates instead of renewing year in and year out. Log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote in minutes.
Our family protecting yours, Southern Oak Insurance.
Joe DiMaggio holds the record for longest hitting streak, which lasted for 56 games in 1941 with the Yankees.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Here comes Buddy Guy. And John Hyatt and the Gunners, featuring Sonny Landreth. Saturday, August 6th at St. Augustine Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at theamp.com. Don't miss Buddy Guy and John Hyatt and the Gunners, featuring Sonny Landreth. Produced by AEG Presents.
Thinking about a graduate degree? Consider Webster University. Enrolling now for MBA degrees with several areas of emphasis to fit your career goals. Earn your degree completely online or in person one night each week at the local campus. Webster University is a military-friendly, nonprofit university. They accept VA benefits, employer tuition assistance, and financial aid. You've waited long enough. Apply today at webster.edu. Webster University, an accredited degree that fits your lifestyle.
Hi everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play fantasy football. Draft your team with no in-season management, get the optimal score from your team each week of the season, and have a shot at over $10 million in total prize money in Underdog's Best Ball Mania 3 contest. Head to UnderdogFantasy.com or the App Store now, sign up with the promo code 1010XL, and Underdog is going to match your first deposit up to $100. Again, Underdog Fantasy, sign up with promo code 1010XL and draft your Best Ball Mania 3 team today.
It's like a bunch of buddies eating wings and talking sports. Join me, Leon Searcy, on XL Primetime, weekdays from noon to 1:30 for Lunch with Leon, courtesy of my friends at Wingstop. The flavor gets its wings on 1010XL.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us. Tuesday night, late night show. All the way to midnight tonight, every Tuesday here on 1010XL. Julio Jones to Tampa Bay to join Mike Evans, Russell Gage, Chris Godwin. Who else did they sign recently? Kyle Rudolph, right? Isn't that another one they signed?
Yes, they did.
So, Denmark, let me ask you this. Kyle Rudolph and primarily Julio Jones, two guys that are clearly on the down escalator of their career, sitting out the entire offseason to sign with Tampa Bay and Tom Brady in late July. You like that, or does that kind of ruffle your feathers a little bit?
No, doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, I think if anything, Rudolph has a little bit more in the tank than Julio. I don't think Julio's going to have much of an impact.
Yeah, I actually thought Julio, when he went to the Titans last year, that was going to be a pretty big deal for Tennessee, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of when receivers go to teams, like remember when Odell first got to Cleveland, everybody thought like Cleveland was going to do great things. And it didn't really. I mean, they were a lot better than what they were, but, I mean, if you take, like, the perception of when Odell first signed, like, that night, everybody thinks that, like, the team had so much more value, and, like, really it doesn't.
My thing with Julio is I'm surprised, too, and I want to get to some NFL news and notes here in a little bit, but Julio's probably going to be the fourth wide receiver in Tampa, right? Because you got Mike Evans. When Godwin gets back healthy, people forget about Russell Gage. That was a big signing for Tampa. I like Russell Gage. And your fourth wide receiver, normally plays on special teams. I got news for you. Julio Jones ain't playing on special teams.
No, and he's not healthy enough to even.
Right. So I don't know if he's even going to make the roster or not. I just found it interesting that Julio today signs. I guess we're now waiting on Odell Beckham. Of course, Beckham tore the ACL in the Super Bowl in February. Wherever he signs, he probably won't be ready to go until, if you're lucky, mid to late October, I guess. That'd be 8 months, and that might even be pushing it. So we'll see. There's still some good free agents out there, but you're starting to see them roll in as training camp has officially begun for all 32 NFL teams. Speaking of that, got a list here of some bold predictions that CBS Sports threw out there. Things they expect to happen over the next 6 weeks or so during training camp, but prior to the NFL regular season. All right, let's take these one by one. Deshaun Watson gets suspended for 12 games. I would actually be surprised by that. I think he's going to get suspended. I think the more people you talk to, the more things you hear, it's going to be somewhere in the 4 to 6 to 8 game realm if Deshaun Watson is suspended for 12 games, that would surprise me because I haven't heard a lot of that. I haven't seen a lot of that. But hey, that's one of CBS's bold predictions. I like it. We'll see what happens. 49ers flat out cut Jimmy Garoppolo. Can you do that? Can you flat out cut a guy that was 10 minutes away last year from taking you to the Super Bowl? I guess you can, but good grief. You're telling me there's no trade value whatsoever for Jimmy Garoppolo? And San Francisco is playing with fire here. Look, I don't doubt that Trey Lance is a good player. They better hope he's a great player for what they gave away to get him. But I'll go back. Jimmy Garoppolo, 49ers had a 10-point lead in L.A. NFC Championship game. They had already won games in Dallas, in Green Bay. Was Garoppolo great in those games? No. Was he good in those games? That's questionable. But he did not make mistakes. Now, he made mistakes in the NFC title game in the fourth quarter. That cost San Francisco. But in those wins in the playoffs against Dallas, against Green Bay, he was average. But he did what he needed to do. And now you're going to just cut ties with him and bring in Trey Lance. It's interesting. And I'll tell you this, if they cut Jimmy Garoppolo, they flat out cut him, the first team it's going to call is Seattle. So there's another issue for San Francisco. Garoppolo would stay in division. Because with all due respect to Geno Smith, and with all due respect to Drew Lock, Jimmy Garoppolo, a healthy, that's the key, a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo is a much better option than anything Seattle has at quarterback right now. CBS saying the Patriots may trade wide receiver Nelson Aguilar. As a guy that has him in a dynasty fantasy league, I hope so. He hasn't done very much in New England since he signed there. Jesse Bates skips all of Bengals camp. That's the one franchise player where it may get really ugly. The safety in Cincinnati, he is not happy about being franchised. He skipped out on all their OTAs, their mini camp. He did not report today for training camp. Keep your eye on that one because that potentially could get ugly. Let me give you the Jaguar one. CBS Sports has here as one of their bold NFL training camp predictions. James Robinson and Travis Etienne will exit camp as the starting running backs here in Jacksonville. I don't think much such a thing exists in the NFL. I can't remember the last time an NFL depth chart had starters at running back. Maybe it's happened. I just don't remember it. But I get CBS's point. If both guys are healthy, and I got to tell you, James Robinson, that guy is unbelievable. Coming off an Achilles in week 16, what was that, right around Christmas. So we're talking basically 7 months since the Achilles injury. And he's out of practice, and he's doing way more than I envisioned him doing. Way more. And there is a legitimate thought now that James Robinson could be ready to go for the opener in Washington the second Sunday in September. I don't think you're going to see James Robinson in the preseason. I don't know why you would see him in the preseason. But if James Robinson is healthy and active for that game in Washington on September 11th, tip of the cap to that young man. Because he would have worked his tail off to get back from that Achilles injury. And assuming that's the case, assuming he's healthy, who gets more carries this year, Travis Etienne or James Robinson? Who gets more touches this year, Travis Etienne or James Robinson? I'll remind you, Robinson in the last 2 years has caught something like 70 passes out of the backfield. He is a weapon in the receiving game. We know what ETN did in college in the receiving game at Clemson. I think it'd be a nice little bar bet. You could do rushes or you could do total touches, receiving and rushing. Who has more by years in? Travis Etienne or James Robinson? But I do think it's interesting that CBS has that as a bold prediction. They have another Jaguar bold prediction. I'll be honest, I didn't see this. I'm reading this right along as you're hearing me talk about it. Laquan Treadwell becomes one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets as he was late in 2021. That's true. He was one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets at the end of last year. Now, Christian Kirk was not here last year. Zay Jones was not here last year. Evan Ingram was not here last year, and Dan Arnold was hurt. Travis Etienne was also not here last year. So there's a lot more competition for those passes. But I kind of like that. Laquan Treadwell did play very well last year. The Jaguars did re-sign Laquan Treadwell. But if you start thinking playing the number game in the wide receiving room, all right, Christian Kirk is a definite. Zay Jones is a definite. I think we all would assume Marvin Jones is a definite. So that's 3. We talked about this briefly last night. Is Treadwell in play? What does that mean for Shenault? What does that mean for Jamal Agnew? What about the undrafted guys? Kevin Austin. It's also the Lawan Willingham kid. That guy has made plays in the first couple of days of camp. The Jaguars might have a good problem at wide receiver. They're either going to have to cut or put somebody on the practice squad that would normally make the roster. I just don't think you cut Laviska Shenault. I don't know why you would. He's on a very cheap, very inexpensive rookie deal. The guy has caught 121 passes, I believe, in his first 2 years in the league. Over 1,200 yards his first 2 years in the league. Why on earth would you cut that guy? You know you're not cutting Kirk. You know you're not cutting either Jones, Zay, or Marvin. If you keep Treadwell, that's 5. Again, what does that mean for Jamal Agnew? And what does that mean for the undrafted rookies that have shown some things? So there is a number problem at wide receiver. And truthfully, I don't know how many places you have a number problem. Is there a number problem at safety? How many safeties do you keep? 4? Maybe 5? All right, you got Rayshon Jenkins. You got Andre Sisco. You got Daniel Thomas. Dewey making it for a 3rd year in a row? My man Andrew Wingard, I think he is. Guy's a good special teams player. What does that mean for a guy like Rudy Ford, who played very well a couple of weeks last year? In fact, I'll talk about Rudy Ford with John Shipley coming up later on. That's another guy that probably needs to fight to keep a roster spot. So when you start looking at the roster, it's interesting to look at the positions. Quarterback, you pretty much know who the guys are that are going to be here. Running back, yeah, you pretty much know. They keep 4 tight ends. You're keeping Evan Ingram. You're keeping Arnold. You got Manhurts. You got Luke Farrell. Are those your 4 guys? We just talked about wide receiver. How many linemen are you keeping? On the defensive side of the ball, defensive line. You know Josh Allen's going to be here. You know DeJuan Smoot's going to be here. Malcolm Brown, Roy Robertson Harris, Fatukasi. Are there any veterans on the D-line in danger of losing their spot? Linebacker and secondary as well. So I think there's going to be 2 or 3 guys that do not make this roster that we thought were going to make the roster a couple of months ago. Whether that is a Rudy Ford, whether that is a I can't imagine them doing it, whether it is a Laviska Shenault. You're going to have guys, at least 2 or 3 of them to me, that you thought were shoo-ins to make the roster that may indeed be on the outside looking in. Let's talk more Jaguar training camp. Let's also talk about the Book of Bo. 3 episodes in, 3 episodes to go. Mia O'Brien, you hear her every day on XL Primetime. She's with us next on Hacker After Dark, right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Fasten your seatbelt.
Your afternoon Uber drivers.
Come on, let's take a ride.
The Franchi Show.
It's a Babe-mobile.
Let us give you a lift.
0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds.
Afternoons on 1010XL.
I'll second guest dinners with friends because they can be interrupted by diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or oily stools. It turns out I have EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which means I'm missing the enzymes needed to digest food. My doctor prescribed Creon, pancrelipase, an oral prescription medication that replaces pancreatic digestive enzymes. Creon treats EPI due to cystic fibrosis, chronic pancreatitis, pancreatectomy, or other conditions.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you're allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Creon is the #1 prescribed EPI treatment. Ask your doctor about Creon for EPI and visit creoninfo.com or call 800-633-9110 to learn more. That's CREONinfo.com.
Keeping your body healthy and active leads to a more vibrant life. A great place to do that is the First Coast YMCA. The Y is equipped with state-of-the-art cardio and strength equipment, plus group exercise studios where trainers host activities like yoga, Zumba, and cycling sessions. The full-court basketball gym and indoor 5-lane swimming pool are open year-round. The Kids Zone can keep an eye on your kids while you work on that dad bod. And it's all available with your family membership. Learn more at fcymca.org.
Hacker here for my friends at Xfinity. Look, when you want something great, you probably don't want to wait for it. Well, Xfinity has a new offer you won't want to wait to take advantage of. The Xfinity 3-for-1 bundle. You get unlimited internet and fast speed. There's no annual contract required and no equipment fees. And there's even a 2-year internet rate guarantee. You'll get unlimited internet, a free Flex 4K streaming box, and 1 line of unlimited mobile, all for just $75 a month. The Xfinity 3-for-1 bundle is built with you in mind. This is a limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with a stored bank account. New fast internet customers only. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay. Xfinity Internet. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1. Call 1-800-XFINITY or drop into an Xfinity store today.
Mia O'Brien here. Have you seen the duck around town? No, not just any duck. I'm talking about Duck Duck Rooter. In just 3 years, they've grown into one of the largest plumbing and septic companies in Florida. And their hardworking team is based right here in Jacksonville, FLA. From septic tank pump outs, septic inspections, drain field installations, sump pump repair, they do it all. And they are the only master septic contractor on the First Coast. So when you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769.
People often think if they don't have symptoms, they shouldn't get tested for colon cancer. If you're 45 or older, it's time to get checked. Hicken here for the Borland Groover Foundation. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. Protect your end zone. If you're over 45, ask your doctor about a colonoscopy. 45 is the new 50. The Borland Groover Foundation is a nonprofit organization devoted to helping the community and save lives. Visit BorlandGrooverFoundation.com for more.
Introducing the meatiest, boldest bowls ever created by you. New build-your-own bowls at Sonny's. Loaded with your choice of slow-smoked barbecue and favorites like mac and cheese, tots, or new barbecue dirty rice. All layered and sauced to perfection. For limited time, build a bowl or try a new Pitmaster Select Bowl starting at $10.99. Get yours at a Sonny's near you or at ordersonnys.com. Sonny's Barbecue. Local Pitmasters since '68.
Hicken here for Roof It Right. You know the drill. Hey, that's our show. Don't let anyone touch your roof until you got a quote from my friends at Roof It Right. Storm season right around the corner. Get prepared now. with an inspection from Jacksonville's Master Elite Roofer, and sleep easy knowing your home is protected by the area's best materials and best warranties. There's a lot of roofers here in town. Roof It Right is the company I trust. Schedule your estimates today at roofitRightFL.com. That's roofitRightFL.com, and see why your friends and neighbors say, Roof It Right, so you can sleep at night.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here. Let me tell you, I hear from people all the time who are having tax problems. Don't be afraid to go to the mailbox. If avoided, your tax issue will only get worse. If you owe the IRS, but you can't pay, call my friends at Accelerated Tax Solutions. Whatever your issue, you want someone who's not afraid of the IRS. Call today to speak or meet with a professional with a clear tax solution for you. Accelerate your tax solution with Accelerated Tax Solutions.
David Garrard here. Once again, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has gotten me back to my active lifestyle by easing my knee pain with PRP treatment. PRP is a platelet-rich plasma concentrate that promotes tissue repair and healing and can even help alleviate pain caused from arthritis. Ask your doctor at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist if PRP may be right for you too.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hey, Rural Pest Services here. Have mercy, the heat and afternoon thunderstorms are here. With that, we get the skeeters, or for the transplants, mosquitoes. At Royal, we offer a monthly, bi-weekly, or one-time mosquito suppression service. The treatment process offers up to a 95% knockdown on all mosquito activity. So let Royal help you enjoy that backyard oasis this summer. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to schedule a free estimate.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On July 26, 1970, Reds catcher Johnny Bench, playing outfield for the day, goes 4 for 5 with 7 RBIs, including 3 home runs off St. Louis Cardinals.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, hello. Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL on 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Training camp for the Jacksonville Jaguars is underway. Felt good to be back out on the practice field. A lot of people are out there, including Mia O'Brien. You get her every day on XL Primetime, and she's with us here on Hacker After Dark. Mia, how we doing?
Oh, we are hanging in there. Ready for training camp, coming off the wild week in Atlanta, which was followed my trip to Boston. So, yeah, I'm hanging in there. The tonsils aren't doing too hot, but I promise it's all good in the hood.
Yeah, and then we're all going to Canton next week, so it's a busy time of year, no question about that. All right, Mia, we're out at training camp. Look, they're not in pads yet, so really hard to kind of get that aspect of things, but what we can see is what we can see, and what caught my eye was James Robinson doing some things out there. Did not expect to see him. What are some of the things that have caught your eye here early on?
Yeah, that undoubtedly is the headliner hack. I mean, I fully expected. I literally said to someone yesterday on the phone that I expected him to go on the PUP list and to begin the year on that physically unable to perform list. And when Doug Peterson said, nope, we're not going to have anyone start on it, I mean, that was insane to hear. I mean, let's be real. James Robinson suffered his torn Achilles on December 26th. It is July 25th. That is an incredible timetable for return. I mean, it says something about the advances we've made in medicine. And while he couldn't confirm exactly when we will see James full go on the field, I personally don't foresee seeing him in a preseason game, maybe that last one, but I highly doubt it. The fact that he could be ready for opening day is huge. And so that was my biggest takeaway coming out of today's practice. In terms of on-the-field stuff, we loved that connection between Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk. Highlight of the day was that sideline tightrope throw that he made that I couldn't tell if he was going to go for the underneath and the safe route, if he was going to go for the kill with Laquan Treadwell, which was the deep ball that was 40 yards down the field. And instead, Christian Kirk came seemingly out of nowhere to make that play. And that says to me that those two really have been working on that connection, and it's showing.
Yeah, what I liked about that is when they ruled him out of bounds, Kirk brought the coaches over there to show him his cleat marks on the field, saying, no, wait a minute, I'm in bounds. I was talking to Denny Thompson because that happened right in front of us, and Denny brought up a good point. We're so focused on the connection with the catch and the throw. Unfortunately, Mia, there were like 3 receivers within 6 yards of one another, but I guess that's what the first couple of days of training camp are for. Somebody ran the wrong route, you would think, but that kind of got overshadowed with the nice catch by Kirk.
Yeah, it kind of looks like honeybee soccer. You had like 3 defenders, you had 3 wide receivers all hanging out in the same 20 yards of green. Yeah, not exactly what you want, but I'm starting to wonder of when is wide receivers coach Chris Jackson going to break some of these guys of these bad habits that they inevitably probably developed over the past year. Because Laquan Treadwell was working his way back from that 40. He was running he was the X in that drill. He was the one going downfield. And then he started working his way back, I think because he thought Trevor wasn't going to go all the way to him, but just wanted to get rid of it. And he thought maybe he could step in. But, yeah, there was a lot of traffic. And the fact that Christian Kirk brought it down, I was like, ooh, okay, we got something here.
Mia O'Brien of 1010XL here with us on Hacker After Dark. Mia, we in the media, we make big deals out of things. That's what we do this time of year. And when you see Tyler Shatley getting some work at one of the guard spots, it is interesting. Because I think the common thought was Cam Robinson, Ben Barch, Luke Fortner, or Tyler Shatley, and then Brandon Scherf and the winner of Jawan Taylor and Walker Little. Well, maybe Shatley is more in play at left guard than we thought.
Or maybe it just says something about what Luke Fortner has proved to this team in the offseason, which in talking to some of the Kentucky contingent at SEC Media Days last week, I know he was home in the Ohio-Kentucky area for at least part of the summer, so I'm not exactly sure how much time he actually spent here in Jacksonville. But the fact that they felt confident enough that day one he was going to be the one taking the starters reps at center, that's huge. That is something I did not anticipate. I fully expected Tyler Shatley to be getting the bulk of the snaps at center until Luke Fortner won the job, similar to, I think, what we're seeing with Jawan Taylor and Walker Little right now, where Jawan is going to naturally have the bulk of the snaps because they want Walker to earn the job, and it's Jawan's job to lose because right now it is his starting job. And so I was surprised in the fact that then Ben Barch kind of gets pushed out of the way. I wouldn't rule him out completely. I think you'll still see him at that left guard position, and I think that's ultimately where they may land. And I think Tyler Shatley becomes that utility guy. But he's as good a utility guy as you could ask for, especially, as he's proven year in and year out when he's had to step in and be a starter for 6, 7, 8 games.
Mia, we love training camp battles, right? I mean, it's one of the best things of camp. Who's going to win it? And I'm looking around out there the first couple days here in practice, and I'm seeing the battles on the offensive line that we just alluded to. Mia, I don't see a lot of other battles for starting spots. Am I missing something, or is that primarily the offensive line battles, and that's pretty much it when it comes to the starting spots?
Yeah, I think it's the offensive line. I think the beauty of Doug Peterson's system is that you'll see running backs rotate in, you'll see tight ends rotate in, wide receivers rotate in. And so then we look over on the defensive side of the ball, and they seem like they pretty much have their front seven intact, obviously outside of Devin Lloyd missing time now with the hamstring injury. But they slid Chad Muma right in. Shaq Quarterman played the first snap of team drills, and then it was Chad Muma the rest of the way. That says to me that they have that depth chart sorted out. I guess you could say safety. Excuse me. You could say safety. But at the same time, unlike the previous regime, this group seems to know that Andre Cisco should be the starter because I didn't see Andrew Wingard out there once. Did you?
I did not. I saw him have a big impact on special teams, however.
Of course. That's where he excels, and that's where he should excel. That's where he excelled 2 years ago. It's where he will continue to excel. And I have nothing against him in that regards. I just think you can't leave an explosive player like Andre Cisco sitting on the sideline and try to claim he doesn't know the playbook when, in fact, A, it seems like he does, and B, he's out here beating Micah Parsons in sprinting drills and Justin Fields, and, come on, people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was talking to Dave Campo about him, and Dave Campo, who coaches defensive backs, was a D coordinator, and obviously the former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, was very, very high on Andre Cisco. I saw one of your tweets earlier. Travon Walker and Josh Allen looked like they were standing next to one another. And, boy, you understand the size of Travon Walker when you see him next to a guy like Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah, because Josh Allen he is as chiseled a man as they come. And, when he arrived in Jacksonville, he obviously was the reigning Nagurski Award winner. He was a dude who was well put together. But this guy, Travon Walker, man, he's still got room to grow. And that is something I know Coach Campo talked to you guys about. It's something that we could see right there. He already has a few inches in height on Josh. But then you throw in the fact that a lot of what he's carrying is baby weight. This guy, depending on how things shake out and what happens when he gets into the weight room, it's crazy to think what he could become.
There's no question about that. A couple of more from Mia O'Brien. You get her every day on XL Primetime. Mia, as we're walking off the field today, I saw Laviska Shenault catching tennis balls with his bare hands from, I guess, a jug gun or whatever they call that thing that was just spitting tennis balls out as fast as anything. And Chenault's down there on all fours catching them with his left and right hand. Pretty impressive, quite honestly. I also think Chenault's build is a little impressive, maybe more so than we've seen in years past. For all the talk about Shenault not getting it done here the last 2 years, the guy's had 60-plus catches in back-to-back seasons. I don't know how many Jaguars have done that in back-to-back seasons, quite frankly, in recent memory. Maybe some of that criticism is unfair, and I wonder if Chenault's using that as some motivation coming into year number 3.
He has to, Hack. At the end of the day, they signed 2 guys to go ahead of him on the depth chart. And those 2 guys are going to see snaps ahead of him. And those 2 guys are Christian Kirk, who they are expecting to be their number 1, and Zay Jones, who they expect to be their stretch-the-field wide receiver. And so that combined with the fact that Doug Peterson's offense has so many tight ends, so much 13 personnel and such a heavy emphasis on the tight end, that means that you are going to have reps being taken away from wide receivers, and there was just not going to be enough reps to go around, enough catches to go around. And so that's why it's been great to see that he has said, okay, I'm going to try to contribute on special teams. I'm going to try to be the punt returner. I'm going to try to be the kick returner. Because at this point in time, he's the 4th or the 5th option. And if Jamal Agnew comes back at full health, all of a sudden now he's there as your kind of gadgety type guy. And Laquan Treadwell, for as much as we were just, talking about maybe running the wrong route there, he still has some really sure hands, Hack. He had some of the more impressive catches I saw and consistent catches that I saw all day today. We're still seeing some drops from some other receivers, but I haven't seen one from Laquan Treadwell. That says to me he's making the team. And that says to me he's a threat to take reps away from Laviska Shenault.
Couple more for Mia O'Brien. I want to get to the Book of Bo in 1 second, Mia. Before we get there, look, it's very early, all right? They're not in pads for another, couple of days. Is Thursday their first day in pads? Do we know that?
Not till Sunday. Sunday.
Wow, so Sunday they're in pads for the first time, and they play a game on Thursday. I don't know how many starters are going to play up in Canton,
Correct.
Ohio, quite frankly. That's interesting. But, all right, so very early, but you've been out there the entire offseason. 2-part question. Let's start with this part. If there is a veteran on this team that needs to be very, very careful to secure a roster spot, do you have one in mind, somebody that Jaguar fans are familiar with that may be in a battle to keep their roster spot?
Yeah, that's a really good one, Hack. That's a really good one. I was going to say a guy like Adam Gotsis, but I personally think he's going to make the team. I think he's been a really consistent contributor. How about Trey Herndon? Obviously he's a guy that's played a little bit in the slot. He's played a little bit on the outside. But knowing how much money that the Jaguars gave to Darius Williams this offseason, Shaq Griffin last offseason, and then investing in Tyson Campbell, and knowing they also drafted 2 corners in this draft, I saw Trey walking off the field today, and I was like, oh, my God, I forgot he's on the roster. And so that's one that I think, that one, he's going to have some competition to make this roster. But aside from that, like you said, it's crazy to think in terms of competition. There really isn't a ton of it outside of the big names. And so I'm very interested to see if there are any surprises. Listen, after Leonard Fournette got cut on the last day of training camp 2 years ago, I don't believe anything until we're week 1 and the starting lineup has been released as far as cuts and what a roster will actually look like.
Well, and Mia, kind of the opposite of that. Is there a guy that Jaguar fans may not know anything about that may make this roster, an undrafted free agent or anybody that's caught your eye to this point?
Yeah, I think, obviously the big two names that in the undrafted free agent rookie market that really got a lot of people's attention were, of course, Kevin Austin, the wide receiver out of Notre Dame, and then Luwan Winningham out of, I believe it is Central Arkansas, one of the Arkansas. They have purple as their color scheme. I know that much.
He made a nice play today, Whittingham did. I like him.
Yeah, he did. And he really is in competition with Laquan Treadwell for that 4th, 5th spot, as well as Laviska Shenault. And so I think he's looked better than Austin, personally. I think Austin has had too many drops. He sometimes looks a little bit slower in understanding some of the routes. So if anything, I give him the edge in the clubhouse right now. But I still give Laquan Treadwell the edge over both of them.
All right, Mia, Book of Bo is out, Chapter 2 on Friday. I watched it. Fantastic. I've seen most of Chapter 3 that came out this morning. We're halfway home. It's a 6-part series. Terrific job by all parties involved in putting that together. Halfway home, how have you felt about the response to this point, and what can we look forward to in Chapters 4, 5, and 6?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It has been absolutely awesome. I can't thank everybody enough. I know a lot of people seem to have really enjoyed learning more. Like there was somebody came up to me, or you came up to me, I think, pretty sure it was, that said I had no idea he was from Colorado. And I had someone else come up to me over the weekend and say, I had no idea him and Rob Johnson were college roommates, or that Angie grew up with Rob Johnson. And so it's been good. It's been a really good response. I just got the stats sent to me of how many views we've gotten, and it's, looking pretty good across the board between the YouTube, the Facebook, and then the podcast opportunities where you can listen there. And so we've been very happy, and I can't thank my guy, Graham Marsh, enough, who has been working through the night, burning the midnight oil, making this possible. They were able to, unfortunately, as you may have noticed, if you've listened to episode 3 by now, for those of your listeners that are listening, we did not, and maybe it was a little evident, maybe hopefully it wasn't evident, that Coach Coughlin was not in episode 3. That is because, unfortunately, we had to reschedule 3 times Coach Coughlin's interview, but Graham and Dan Hicken got the interview this morning. So Coach Coughlin's, he's on board the rest of the podcast. So you can look forward to hearing TC. And we also got some interesting sound bites from him that I know we're going to be playing on 1010XL in the coming weeks.
Beautiful. Episode 3 is out. Episode 4 on Friday. Episode 5 Monday. And then it concludes with episode 6 a week from Friday, leading into Tony Boselli getting inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. A week from Saturday. How's that sound? A week from this Saturday, Tony Boselli takes his spot in Canton, Ohio. Mia O'Brien, you get her every day on XL Primetime. Mia, thank you for the time. We'll see you out at training camp later this week.
Absolutely, Hack. Talk to you tomorrow.
Follow 1010XL to Canton for live coverage from the Hall of Fame honoring Tony Boselli August 3rd through 6th. Be a part of the celebration courtesy of the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL and renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
We are off the chain again. We had 5 shootings, 2 killed in a matter of hours. It was not just the north side. It was all over. Mayport, south side, west side, north side. Let you know it's not just one part of town. We know they have a sheriff race coming up. We cannot get caught up on that. We as a community have got to say enough is enough. We've got to take a stand and start breaking the code of silence and tell what we know. As always, JSO was not there when the 5 shootings occurred. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think.
For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dad's Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDadJacksonville.com.
Wholesale prices, premium service, Tire Outlet.
Captain Kevin Favor here, and this summer, go further with Tire Outlet. Visit them online at any of their 13 locations in Northeast Florida to shop their top flagship brands like Kumo and Yokohama. Let them find the right fit for you. Visit TireOutlet.com to find your store today.
Wholesale prices, premium service. Tire Outlet.
Superior Fence and Rail knows about exceptional customer service. From the first call to the final inspection, Superior's team provides first-class care with great communication, friendly installers, and quality fence products. There's a reason why Superior is the top-rated fence company in Jacksonville. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail for your new fence today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
This is Brandon with North Florida Epoxy Floors. Our product gives you a custom high-quality appearance and the longest-lasting finish at a more affordable price. So for your garage, home, or business, research the difference between 100% solids epoxy and the products like polyurea, which can be kinda fishy. Our epoxy includes a moisture vapor barrier, essential in Florida, so your North Florida epoxy floor looks great and is warranted with no fine print. Get a free estimate at northfloridaepoxyfloors.com.
Hayes Carline here for Claude Nolan Cadillac, and guess what? New cars are starting to arrive, ready to be bought off the lot. So take advantage of available luxury SUVs, 2022 XT4, XT5, and the 3-row XT6. All Cadillac certified pre-owned models are available right now also. All new and certified pre-owned have special rates from 0% to 3.9%. So get down to Claude Nolan Cadillac today and tell them Hayes sent you. Begin your lasting relationship at Claude Nolan Cadillac off JTB and Southside.
What is the shelf life of a Twinkie? The answer next.
Is your home your most valuable asset? It is for most of us, and Southern Oak Insurance recommends an annual review. Log on to southernoak.com for more information.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Contrary to popular belief, Twinkies do go bad, usually lasting about 45 days.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. Now that summer's in full swing, so's the front door of our house. Kids constantly coming in and out, bringing in sand from the beach, soil from the yard, all kinds of food. Pretty tough on the carpet, the rugs, the tile, the grout. Good thing July is National Carpet Cleaning Month. To celebrate, Zero Res offering 25% on all carpet cleaning in your home. What a great time to get your carpets cleaned by the very best. Zero Res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res, the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Going too frequently? It might be your prostate. Schedule your screening with Ackerman Urology and get your life back. Call 904-490-7400 or visit AckermanUrology.com today.
At Hidden Hills Golf Club, we're seeing more golfers enjoying the game than ever before. Friends, fun, and fresh air on a fantastic golf course is what it's all about. And if you want to get in the game, visit HiddenHillsGC.com and book your tee time today.
A Hall of Fame career deserves a Hall of Fame tribute. 1010XL presents a special 6-part visual podcast on Tony Vaselli. You'll hear from coaches, players, family, and Big Bo himself about a football life worth celebrating. Brought to you by Arlington Toyota. Find it where you find podcasts. Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime here on Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Our late night show every Tuesday, 10 to midnight. Of course, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we are 8 to 10. Friday Night Lights. You realize we are 1 month from tonight. Friday night, August the 26th, will be the first night of the regular season for high school football. Here in Northeast Florida, the High School Media Day down at the stadium, I believe, is on Monday. Looking forward to that, as always. And it'll be year 16 for the Friday Night Lights postgame. Denmark, you're going to be a part of that for the first time this year. Also, Andrew Gibson's going to join me again, as we will do year 16 of the Friday Night Lights beginning 1 month from tonight. Denmark, I know you love high school football in the area. That show will probably be a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, I've listened to it the last, 8 years from when I was in high school. It always seems fun. I assume, sort of take the people behind the curtain. I'll be the one doing all the phone calls, which I guess I won't be listening to the show that much, but it'll be fun still doing it, though, man.
Yeah, you take over the role of R.J. Saunders, who did that the last couple of years. The Friday Night Lights show is kind of like my baby, right? When the station first started in 2007, April of 07, we started the Friday Night Lights that football season in 2007. I have been a producer on that show. I have been a co-host on that show. I have been a host on that show. I've been a part of every one of them for the last 15 years. And again, we start year 16 1 month from tonight. Some NFL tidbits I want to throw at you as well. We're going to shift gears, talk a little Florida State with Ira Schoffel of warchant.com. That's coming up in less than 10 minutes. Florida State reported to camp earlier today. They will be on the practice field tomorrow for their first practice of fall camp, as they are 1 month away from getting their regular season underway. You see Joe Burrow's going to have an appendectomy?
Yes, I did see that.
Now, here's my question, Denmark. The NFL offseason for the Cincinnati Bengals has been 5.5 months since they lost in the Super Bowl. He's having it now? I mean, is this just something they realize now as training camp begins that, oh, by the way, you need an appendectomy? I mean, this could not have been done like a month ago, 2 months ago. They're cutting it kind of close here, are they not?
Yeah, that was pretty odd. I mean, but they said he should be ready for the season. So I mean, yes, you would like him out there for camp, but I'd like to know like how much of a difference it is him not, being there for the preseason.
Well, a guy like Joe Burrow probably doesn't need much camp. The guy did pretty well last year. Of course, when you have Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon that you're throwing the football to or handing the football off to, you got a lot of talent around you. Chris Carson announces his retirement from the NFL due to a neck injury. That's a shame. I always hate guys having to retire due to injury. Chris Carson, nice little career. Look, was he ever great? Was he ever very good? No, but he was serviceable. He was a good NFL running back, and his career now over as he announces his retirement earlier today. Jerry Jones spoke to the Dallas media as the Cowboys get underway with camp, talking about Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones says, well, he wouldn't be here if I didn't think he was going to be the man to lead us to the Super Bowl. Mike McCarthy's in a no-win situation. That guy has to win the division. That guy has to win, to me, probably 2 playoff games to avoid being on the hot seat, because every Dallas Cowboy fan is going to want Sean Payton next year. And if Mike McCarthy doesn't show massive improvement, no matter how good Dallas may do in the regular season, if they don't advance in the postseason, I think he's going to be out, and I think Sean Payton's going to be in. So he's been dealt a very bad hand there in Dallas. We'll see what happens with the Cowboys moving forward. Deebo Samuel did report to San Francisco camp. Surprised by that. John Lynch said today that talks have been productive, was the term that he used. We'll see what happens with Deebo Samuel in San Francisco, but it appears to be a better situation now for both parties than it was certainly a couple of months ago. Florida State, as I mentioned, starts their fall camp tomorrow. I did want to throw this out there, and I'll mention this to Ira Schoffel of War Chant coming up in just a little bit. You see the ACC kickoff last week, the media voted on the Atlantic and the Coastal. Keep in mind, this is the final year of divisions in the ACC. The Atlantic Division and the Coastal Division will be no more beginning in 2023. But 2022 is the final year of them. And Florida State picked to finish 5th in the ACC Atlantic. 5th. Behind Clemson, behind NC State, behind Wake Forest, and behind Louisville. Florida State was 5. Boston College was 6. And I believe Syracuse was 7. Whew. If Florida State finishes 5th in the Atlantic, That's not good, man. That is not good, but obviously the ACC media, or the media that covers the ACC most frequently, still not very high on Mike Norvell in year number 3. We'll see. I think Florida State gets to a bowl game this year, but I don't think they're going to do much more than that. I think they're a 6-6, maybe 7-5, maybe. But as I've told you guys for months on end now on Hacker After Dark, that's a tough schedule. That is a hard schedule for Florida State this year. But they're in camp. They reported today they're on the practice field tomorrow. Ira Schofel, warchant.com, is our guy over in Tallahassee. He's always kind enough to join us to talk a little Seminole football. Let's talk about Mike Norvell. Let's talk about Jordan Travis. Let's talk about everything going on with Florida State as camp begins. Ira Schofel next here on Hacker After Dark.
Of all the places in the world, this is our favorite. This is home. 1010XL. Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Next time you're tempted to speed, think about who's waiting for you at home. On average, 8 people are killed each day in crashes on Florida's roadways, so slow down. Pay attention behind the wheel and help drive roadway fatalities down to 0. Let's get everyone home, Florida. Don't let a fast drive be your last drive. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Hicken here for Roof It Right. You know the drill. Hey, that's our show. Don't let anyone touch your roof until you got a quote from my friends at Roof It Right. Storm season right around the corner. Get prepared now with an inspection from Jacksonville's Master Elite Roofer, and sleep easy knowing your home is protected by the area's best materials and best warranties. There's a lot of roofers here in town. Roof It Right is the company I trust. Schedule your estimates today at roofitRightFL.com. That's roofitRightFL.com, and see why your friends and neighbors say Roof It Right, so you can sleep at night.
Hotline Jacko here, sports fans. Woody's Barbecue has the fallingest off-the-bone ribs and chicken, the moistiest turkey and pork, and the bestest French fries and vegetables.
At Woody's Barbecue, it's what we do. Let's eat.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hicken here. About 2 years ago, I had Bueller Air out to install the nicest system we've ever had at our home. Why did I choose Bueller? Well, they were and still are locally owned, and their service is immaculate. I mean, they really have the coolest guys in town. Right now, they even have 0% financing available on all new systems. So remember, for AC needs, stay cooler with Bueller.
Bueller Air. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Every lawyer at Harrell & Harrell is part of Harrell & Harrell. It's about everyone that you have in the process to help that client. And using all of that, we have the size and the resources to take on any company, no matter how large. Offices, Jacksonville.
This is head coach Matthew Driscoll from the UNF men's basketball team. When our players suffer an orthopedic injury, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists gets our players back on the court pain-free.
We appreciate the endorsements from our high school and college coaches. This is Dr. Kevin Murphy. The next time you need orthopedic care, you can rely on our team at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coastal Equipment in Jacksonville and McClenny to reach your North Florida Kubota Superstore.
Hey Jacksonville, we need your help. It may be summer, but school is just around the corner. Hundreds of local homeless, at-risk, and low-income students need school supplies. One-to-One Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union, is collecting school supplies through July 30th, so our most vulnerable kids can start the school year right. Be a good person and help us fill 350 backpacks this summer. Bring donations to your nearest One-to-One Financial branch. Learn more and find the closest branch at one-to-one-fcu.org. And don't forget, the school supply tax holiday is the last week of July. Thanks, Jacksonville.
It's a unique gift idea, and it's perfect to add some fun to your work environment. Mystic Cornhole Company builds customized high-quality boards right here in Jacks. Visit their shop on Phillips Highway or check out some of their design at mysticcornholecompany.com.
Here comes Buddy Guy. And John Hyatt and the Goners, featuring Sonny Landreth. Saturday, August 6th at St. Augustine Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at theamp.com. Don't miss Buddy Guy and John Hyatt and the Goners, featuring Sonny Landreth. Produced by AEG Presents.
Hey guys, want to know something? Get regular checkups. That's right. Schedule an appointment with your primary care doctor when something is feeling off. Also, get some exercise. Oh, and by the way, it's okay to take a break and just breathe. Don't know where to start? That's where Millennium Physician Group comes in. Millennium Physician Group now accepting new and same-day patients. Also, your Medicare matters here. Go to millenniumphysician.com to find an office in your neighborhood. Millennium Physician Group, your connection to a healthier life.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
It gets hot for playmakers and newsmakers on the Roof It Right Hot Seat. Roof It Right Hot Seat on 1010XL. Listen to Mike and Tony every day for the latest scoops from Jacksonville and beyond. Roof It Right so you can sleep at night. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line, brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Tuesday night, and we are glad you are with us. All the talk about Jaguar training camp going on here in Jacksonville. They have started camp over in Tallahassee. Of course, Florida State plays a football game 1 month from tomorrow, and the Seminoles are in camp now, year 3 of Mike Norvell. Let's go to the state capitol, talk to our man Ira Schoffel of warchant.com, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ira, how you doing?
I'm great, Ryan. How are you?
Ira, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. And what does it feel like coming into year 3 of Mike Norvell? Certainly the first 2 years, particularly 2020, the COVID year, there was a lot of things going on off the field. Now Norvell appears to probably have his best team in year number 3. Does it feel any different coming into this camp as opposed to the first 2?
Yeah, I think it does. I think that, last year, even though he had been here for about a year and a half, you still had a lot of players from the previous coaching staffs. You still had a lot of holdovers. And you also were bringing in a big group of transfers that they brought in. So you didn't know how it was all going to mesh. And obviously the quarterback situation was up in the air between Mackenzie Milton and Jordan Travis. And we didn't know if Mackenzie Milton was going to be full speed or not. So there was just a lot of question marks. This team coming into this year doesn't have as many question marks. We know the quarterback's going to be. It's going to be Jordan Travis. We know most of the guys on defense because they're all returning. You know most of the guys on offense, but they brought in some nice pieces on the offensive line and wide receiver. So there's a lot of optimism there. So really, to your point, I think it's now it's time. They really have to start delivering. And Mike Norvell at his preliminary press conference before preseason practice this week said, the foundation has been set. Now we have to go win games. And I really think that's where they're at right now.
I was impressed and always have been impressed by Mike Norvell. He always answers the tough questions. Everybody likes Mike Norvell, from former players that I've talked to season ticket holders over here that I've talked to. But the point remains, it's a business about winning football games. And I think, Ira, some of that goodwill might start teetering a little bit if Florida State does not win this year.
Well, without question. I mean, you look at when you start talking about what are the expectations for this year, they won 5 games last year. I really feel like they need to get over 500. 6-6, I don't think does it. I don't think that's going to make people feel like there's real progress being made, because at that point, if you're getting one game better over the course of a season, that's just one win better. That's just not significant impact. So I think, they're going to need to win at least 7 games, maybe 8 games for it to feel like things are moving in the right direction. I think that's for the fans. I also think it's for the players. The players have bought in. I think Mike Norvell will say that repeatedly, that he is seeing the buy-in from the players, the way they approach workouts, the way they approach practices. And so that's great. That's the first step. But the players are going to want to see results too. If they go out there and they can't hang with LSU, they can't beat Louisville on the road, they can't win some of these games that are really going to make or break their season, then I think he's going to have the challenge of, continuing to get the players to keep buying in when the results aren't coming.
Ira Schoffel, warchant.com, here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Ira, you mentioned Jordan Travis. We've talked about him, you and I, in the past. He is so easy to root for. He is a good kid, and he's very easy to hope that he does well. And Jordan Travis, look, to his credit, I loved what he said last week at ACC Media Days. It's his football team now. Like you said, there's nobody over his shoulder. He knows he is the guy. And I think mentally, Ira, that's going to be huge for Travis coming into this year.
It should be, and it's something he's never had before, really, since he got to college. He initially started his college career at Louisville. That was the end of Bobby Petrino's tenure. And from what we were told, it was just a bad situation. He was not happy there right off the bat. It was the last year of Bobby Petrino. Things were kind of falling apart. He transfers to Florida State, and right away he's kind of buried on the depth chart. And James Blackman was going to be the guy, or DeAndre Francois. Then it was James Blackman and Alex Hornibrook. Then it was James Blackman. Then going into last year, it was Mackenzie Milton. So it's just he's always kind of been seen as kind of the second fiddle. And last year he took over the job midway through the season, about 5 games in. He took the job from Mackenzie Milton, and he was the guy the rest of the way. And they went 5-2 in the games he started. And the 2 games they lost were at Florida and at Clemson, and both by about a touchdown. So, I think he's got a lot of confidence. They have a lot of confidence in him. And now the key is him playing an entire season healthy, staying healthy, and just being available. Because if he's available for all 12 games, I think they feel like they've got a good shot in just about every game. If he goes down, now there's a lot of questions.
Ira, one of the big topics over here in Jacksonville was they needed to surround Trevor Lawrence with talent this offseason. Let me ask you that in Tallahassee. Does Jordan Travis have the talent around him, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, to be successful in 2022?
It's a whole lot better than it was a year ago. Last year their receiver play was pretty poor. They just didn't have guys that could get open. They didn't have guys that could make plays. On the offensive line, they were really thin. So they had a couple guys who were injured and had to play through injuries. Devontae Love-Taylor at guard. Another, Robert Scott, when he at tackle, he had to play with a bad ankle. So they had to play through injuries on the offensive line. This year, they went out and got 4 new offensive linemen out of the transfer portal. They got 4 new wide receivers. So now they have depth at those 2 positions, and they've got playmakers at receiver. So, yeah, I think that's going to make a world of difference for Jordan Travis. If it doesn't, then I think that's when you look at Jordan Travis and say, okay, man, you have to develop because we've got you better weapons now. Now you actually have to get the ball to those guys. And, we'll see. It's, to me, in the past, you really couldn't blame it on Jordan Travis because he didn't have much around him. Now it's on him to make plays.
I was watching ACC Media Days last week, the ACC kickoff, and I see quarterback, all of these quarterbacks in the ACC. What about the Florida State defense, Ira? Because they're going to be playing against some ridiculously good quarterbacks there on their schedule.
Yeah, they really are, and they lost to most of those guys a year ago. I think especially when you look at Malik Cunningham at Louisville is not the most highest rated guy, but they had a really tough time with. He had a huge first half against them last year. Devin Leary at NC State is just a machine running that offense. He had 35 touchdowns with 5 interceptions. Tyler Van Dyke at Miami got going last year's game after a slow start. But as you said, Sam Hartman. The list goes on. They're almost all of those great quarterbacks our team's Florida State's going to face this season. And the defense has definitely improved. I think if you look at the second half of last season, it was a much different unit than the first half of last season. They made some changes in the secondary. I really like their safeties. Jamie Robinson became first-team All-ACC. Akeem Dent, who used to be at one time was a 5-star recruit, got off to a tough start in college. He started to flourish late last season. I think their linebackers are better. They went out and got a really talented transfer, Tatum Bethune from UCF, who had over 100 tackles last year at UCF. The big question on defense is how do you replace what they had at defensive end? You had Jermaine Johnson, who obviously became a first-round pick and was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. He's gone, and Keir Thomas, the other defensive end, is gone. So that's going to be the big question. If they can replace what they got, anything close to what they got out of those two guys, I think the defense is going to be pretty good, but those are big holes to fill.
Final moments here with Ira Schoffel, WarChant.com. As the Seminoles report at camp today, they play a football game 1 month from tomorrow, week 0, against Duquesne. Ira, the ACC Atlantic, boy, appears to be loaded this year. And you talk about Louisville and North Carolina State, Wake Forest. I've heard people tell me that this might be the best North Carolina State team they've had in a decade. Wake Forest brings back a lot of that powerful offense from last year. You mentioned Malik Cunningham at Louisville. How good do you think the Atlantic is coming into 2022?
I think it is very good. It's definitely the stronger of the two divisions, and that's not good for Florida State from the standpoint of this is a year where they need to show more wins. This could be an improved Florida State team, but maybe not have a huge bump in the record just because of that fact. And because so many of these quarterbacks, I mean, it's just hard to beat teams that have good college quarterbacks, especially at home. And FSU is going to be going to Louisville. FSU is going to be going to NC State. I think NC State's going to be the one that's interesting to watch because this is the first time probably, I don't know, since Chuck Amato was the head coach, that they're going to go into this season with high expectations. And people are looking at them to actually not just surprise people, but some people think that they're going to beat Clemson and win the Atlantic Division. So, okay, well, now you got to live up to those expectations. And sometimes that's different, especially for a program that hasn't been there in a long time. But they're good. They've got just about everybody back. They're from a really good team. I think Louisville's talented. Louisville has to fix their defense, which was a wreck last year. Wake Forest's defense was a wreck last year. Miami, I think, Miami's on the other side, but that's one of the teams FSU plays. But this division is going to be tough. I think Florida State is going to do better than. I think they were picked 5th in the division. I think they're going to do a little bit better than that, but it's going to be hard to do much better than that because it is a really stout division.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. The ACC media picked Florida State 5th in the Atlantic. I was taken aback by that a little bit. Sounds like maybe you were as well. Ira, where are they in the Atlantic? Are they 3rd? I guess 4th? Where do you think they settle in there?
I think there's a good chance they're going to end up 3rd. It could be 4th. I kind of have a feeling Wake Forest is going to have a step back this year. I don't know if I believe in Louisville. I think that if things don't get off to a strong foot for them, I could see there's going to be a lot of talk about Satterfield and his job security. So I think to me, NC State and Clemson are the best 2 teams in the division, and I think Florida State could surprise people and be in that 3rd spot. But 3rd or 4th would be an improvement over what they've been the last few years.
All right, Ira, leave us with this. Obviously, a lot of talk has calmed down. Media days is in the books, but it could ramp up very, very quickly again. From the Florida State perspective, all the talk about conference expansion, everything going on, is it your understanding, your belief, what you're hearing, that the ACC is a long-term destination for Florida State, or could that change here in the near future?
I think something's going to have to change in the not too distant future. Now, I don't know how to define near future because do I expect something to happen right away? No, but I just can't imagine anything close to 14 years. When you look at the revenue disparity between the ACC and the Big East and the SEC and the Big Ten. So, whether it's 4 years, whether it's 5 years, somewhere in there, I think something's got to give, and it's possible something happens before then because, I know the grant of rights is pretty ironclad, but I also know that this isn't feasible to have 2 conferences making double what this other conference is making. And I just think that these presidents of these schools and these athletic directors are going to try to figure out a way to make something happen. So I don't think that it's the long-term home unless something drastic happens You get Notre Dame, maybe you get a couple other schools, and that changes the whole outlook of the conference. But as it is right now, I just can't see how this sustains for a long time.
Well, that'll be a conversation for on down the line. The good thing for us is it's football season in Tallahassee. Florida State has reported to camp. They play a football game again 1 month from tomorrow, Saturday, August the 27th. Ira Schofel, warchant.com. I imagine Warchant, you guys will have things pretty much on a daily basis now that camp is underway.
Yeah, they're practicing just about every day. So, yeah, we'll have plenty of content on the website. And they open up camp. Official practice is tomorrow afternoon. They'll practice the afternoons the first 3 days, and then beginning on Sunday, it'll be morning. So, yeah, we'll have plenty of content on warchant.com all day.
Ira, really appreciate the time, man. It's about to get really busy for you. Thank you, my friend. We'll do it again soon.
Sounds great. I appreciate it, Ryan. Take care.
There you go. Ira Schofel, warchant.com, here with us on 1010XL and 92.5 FM as the Seminoles, the first of the major teams in our area that have camp underway. That's because they play a week before everybody else does. Saturday, August the 27th is when their regular season kicks off. The Jaguars play a football game a week from Thursday. The NFL preseason kicks off with the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. You've heard the promos. We have a lot planned for you next week here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM live from Canton, Ohio, Wednesday through Saturday. Certainly looking forward to that. We'll do Hacker After Dark up in Canton on Wednesday night and on Friday night. And I'll have a role as well on Thursday with Hayes Carline and Lauren Brooks as we get you ready for the game. Remember, the Jaguar pregame show is on Thursday night as the Jaguars and the Raiders next Thursday kick off the NFL preseason. Speaking of the Jaguars, John Shipley, Jaguar Report, does an absolutely terrific job with that website. He's covered the Jaguars for a few years now. Love his insight. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. We'll have John Shipley coming up in less than 10 minutes. As always, Jacksonville, we are streaming for your viewing pleasure on 1010XL's YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, type in 1010XL. You'll see Hacker After Dark there every night. You can also stream the show on my personal Twitter, at Ryan Green 1010XL. That's at Ryan Green 1010XL. 2 training camp practices in the books. Let's talk about the Jaguars in camp with John Shipley of Jaguar Report. That's next. Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Follow 1010XL to Canton for live coverage from the Hall of Fame honoring Tony Baselli, August 3rd through 6th. Be a part of the celebration courtesy of the flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1010XL and renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors.
Honestly, this is one of the best jobs I've had.
Drivers and mechanics, listen up. Waste Management is now offering a $5,000 new hire bonus to CDL drivers and heavy truck mechanics for job opportunities at our sites in Jacksonville, Green Cove Springs, Callahan, and St. Augustine.
There's so much more to Waste Management than what you think it is.
Waste Management offers steady work, competitive pay, weekly paychecks, opportunities for overtime, paid training, and a generous food and tool allowance.
Plus industry-leading benefits, like 100% tuition coverage for you and your family, and your home every day.
The benefits were great. They're the best I've seen in a long time.
CDL drivers and heavy truck mechanics apply online today at WM.com/careers. That's WM.com/careers. Search driver and mechanic jobs in Jacksonville, Green Cove Springs, Callahan, and St. Augustine, Florida.
A people-first, military-friendly, equal opportunity employer.
We are WM.
Guys, I want to talk to you for a minute, man-to-man, about erectile dysfunction and PE. How are you doing in the bedroom? Are you still the man you used to be? Or are you feeling the disappointment of ED? Are you experiencing the embarrassment of PE? Happens to a lot of us. That's why you should call Prime Men's Medical Center. Their licensed physicians can help solve your problem. They'll talk to you about ED or PE. They'll offer custom-blended medications. There's no pain or surgery. And you'll see results right in the office at Prime Men's Medical Center. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, men are now lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history. and it's affordable. So, man to man, contact Prime Men's Medical Center now for a private consultation. You'll see results on your first visit, guaranteed, or your exam is free. Call 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with all the hottest brands in golf at the best prices, featuring tailor-made Stealth Carbon woods and irons, Callaway's Rogue ST collection of woods and irons, Titleist's T-Series irons and Vokey wedges, and Ping's G425 woods and irons. All this and more at Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Swing by and receive a free custom fitting today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, or shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Do you suffer from mild to moderate high blood pressure? Should you be taking medication but are currently not on anything? Or maybe taking medication but unsatisfied with the results? If so, CNS Healthcare invites you to take part in a clinical research study for mild to moderate hypertension at no cost. Qualified participants may receive reimbursements for study procedures and travel. For your no-cost study assessment, call CNS Healthcare at 904-281-5757 or visit cnshealthcare.com for more on this mild to moderate hypertension research study.
Introducing the meatiest, boldest bowls ever created by you. New build-your-own bowls at Sonny's, loaded with your choice of slow-smoked barbecue and favorites like mac and cheese, tots, or new barbecue dirty rice, all layered and sauced to perfection. For limited time, build a bowl or try a new Pitmaster Select bowl starting at $10.99. Get yours at a Sonny's near you or at ordersonnys.com. Sonny's Barbecue, local Pitmasters since '68.
Tailgaters Parking presents The Henpecked Husband.
Hey, do you know what time it is?
Time for what, dear?
Time to go buy our season parking at Tailgaters Parking again.
Oh, yeah, of course, dear.
You know, we don't even have to go to the game because we can tailgate all game long right in the Tailgaters parking lot.
I guess so, dear.
Tailgaters is the best place to tailgate for every game.
I know, dear.
They've got a covered pavilion, assigned spaces, clean restrooms, a full bar and restaurant.
Yes, dear.
And they're right across the street from the stadium.
Yes, dear.
TailgatersParking.com.
I'm Hayes Carline. I'm not a lawyer, but I play one on radio. Listen to my closing argument presented by the personal injury law firm of Harrell & Harrell weekdays on The Frangie Show. It's like Matlock, but meaner and about football.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line, brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Tuesday evening. We are glad you are with us. Day 2 of Jaguar training camp in the books. Hard to believe the Jaguars play a football game 1 week from this Thursday night. Let's talk Jaguar training camp with John Shipley. You get him on Jaguar Report. You also get him right here on 1010XL. John, how we doing?
Hey, doing fantastic. Glad the football's back.
There's no question about that. Day 2 of training camp. Again, no pads for a little bit now. I think the pads officially come on this weekend. But, John, observations from you both days out at training camp. What are a couple of things that have caught your eye to this point?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, the first thing would be, Trevor Lawrence. All eyes are going to be on him for, all of training camp, the preseason, all the way up until week 1. And, I thought he had a solid day on Monday. A lot of times in training camp, it's not until the 4th or 5th day where they really open up the playbook for the offense and the quarterback. So, obviously, on Monday, they didn't really do that much with him. He only had a handful of throws downfield. But today, I thought was, even in the context of no pads being on, I thought today was the best practice he's had as a Jaguar. I saw every training camp practice he had as a rookie, and there wasn't any practice where he had, as much control with his accuracy as he had today. He was, I believe, 18 for 18 in team drills. He was perfect in 7-on-7. So that's the biggest thing that stood out is, the Jaguars, they thought during the spring that Trevor had improved and that he was poised to take that leap forward. Doug Peterson said yesterday that they're taking a, sky's the limit mentality with him. And through 2 days, it seems like he's, playing up to his part and doing his part to improve.
I'll tell you what's fascinating is we talk about these guys every hour of every day, seemingly, with the job you do, writing that I do on the air with 1010XL. And then you see at training camp it start to kind of come to fruition what we've been talking about. You see Christian Kirk out there with Zay Jones. You see Evan Ingram and Dan Arnold in 2 tight end sets. John, the one thing that kind of caught me off guard, I guess, is I was under the impression Ben Bartch at left guard, Shatley and Fortner maybe battling it out at center. It appears, at least 2 days in, that might not necessarily be the case, as Shatley might be much more in play at left guard than maybe, at least I thought he was.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's really, I would say, if there's been one major surprise of training camp so far, it's been that, because all signs this spring, both in practice, publicly, and even privately, the things that people were saying behind closed doors was that the plan was for Shatley to be the center, and that really it'd be an expectation for Fortner to eventually take the position, but that Bartch would be the guy left guard. But like you said, that hasn't been the case at all. We're now through 2 days where Fortner has taken every single first team rep at center. He even got, I put in my observations post today, he got some after practice work with Trevor Lawrence where they took some snaps together, which was important because the second team offense had about 4 fumbled snaps today. So it was good to see them get that on hand. And Tyler Shatley, he has taken every single rep at left guard. Even when they go to second team offense, he's not going to center. He's not rotating with Fortner at center with the first team offense. He's been firmly at left guard. Then you have Ben Bartch at left guard with the second team, Casey McDermott at center with the second team. So it went from, really the thinking was that it'd be a competition at center between Shatley and Fortner. But right now it looks like the only real competition along the offensive line is at right tackle. And that's not to say Ben Bartch can't push Shatley for the job, but if you look at the two of them, it's obvious who has the leg up right now, and it makes sense why, considering how much experience Shatley has.
John Shipley does a terrific job covering the Jaguars for Jaguar Report, which is a part of Sports Illustrated, and he's with us here on 1010XL. You mentioned right tackle. John, we're not going to know very much till the pads come on. What, if anything, have you gathered the first couple of days, though, between Walker Little and Jawan Taylor?
I think it's obvious that it's a situation where Walker Little is going to have to win the job. Jawan Taylor is coming in as the incumbent, and Walker Little is in the situation where he has to be the one that snaps the job away from Taylor. It's not, it's not the other way around. It's not just a complete toss in the air. It is Taylor's job, really, to lose. And that's not to suggest he can't, because we've seen before there have been training camp practices with pads on where Taylor has struggled, especially in pass rush drills. So that's not to say Little can't potentially take that from him, but we've seen Jawan Taylor take every, first team rep on Monday. And then today, for the first half of practice, he took every first team rep. We then saw Little rotate in with the first team, so he did get some reps with the starting offensive line. I'd say it was about probably 60-40 today. It's somewhat close to 50-50. But then Little also took every single second team rep. So just in terms of the sheer quantity of reps, Little got the most between the two of them today. But I do get the impression that it is Taylor's job to lose, and that, either he's going to have to lose it or Little's going to have to win it. But it's not going to be a job that, it's just given to Little.
John, I'm not sure if this is a good thing or not, but we talk about the right tackle position battle between Little and Taylor. There was a thought center would be up for grabs, as we talked about. Maybe that's not the case. But outside of the offensive line, I don't know if there's another position battle for a starting spot. I mean, the Jaguars, to me, appear pretty locked in, starting-wise, at every position outside of maybe right tackle.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think when you're talking about, battles for playing time, a lot of those battles have to do with, the second team or the next guy up, positions like inside linebacker behind Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun, and the defensive line, edge rusher, cornerback. I agree with you completely. I don't think there are many positions where the Jaguars are, staking a claim to saying, okay, this is a position that's wide open. I think we've even seen, it's obviously early, but through 2 days of training camp, you're seeing most of the same faces with the first team offense and first team defense. There aren't very many surprises. I'd say, the only real surprise, if you want to call it that, is that Laquan Treadwell has gotten some first-team reps. Laviska Shenault has not, but that's likely because Treadwell is a true X-receiver as opposed to Shenault being more of a slot guy. But there's really not. I think that's because the Jaguars, they made some bold moves to bring in free agents that, across the board, pretty much every free agent they signed outside of Arden Key, they signed to be a starter. Nobody's competing with Brandon Scherf, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. Those guys are all going to be starters. Darius Williams is going to be a starter. And then, with Fortner, they now have it to where, their first 3 draft picks are likely going to be starting now with Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd, and Fortner. And then Chad Muma obviously fills in at the depth. You have depth at cornerback with the rookies they took, same at running back with Snoop Connor. I really think other than right tackle, the only really position battles to watch is kicker and cornerback depth. And you can obviously throw in running back in there because they have to figure out the rotation, especially when James Robinson comes back. But I think you're right on the money. I don't think it's like last year where it seemed like they were, endless positions that had to be won. I think they're banking more so on guys to improve this year than they were last year.
Couple of more for John Shipley from Jaguar Report here with us on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. John, Devin Lloyd, hamstring issue, although I believe you told me that you saw him working on the side earlier today. And then, look, James Robinson doing a lot more than maybe we thought he was going to be doing, not starting off on the PUP list. What have you made of the Robinson news and of the Lloyd injury to this point?
Yeah, no, the Robinson news, it isn't surprising. I think if you're in Jacksonville and the kind of guy that James Robinson is, and the fact that James Robinson himself, it fell on a lot of deaf ears, but James Robinson himself was telling people, hey, I'm going to be out there at training camp. But not many people outside of Jacksonville believed it. I know I went on endless radio shows and fantasy podcasts this offseason where, I was basically told that, there's no way James Robinson won't start on a PUP list. He probably won't come back till middle of the year, but this is a guy who, works his absolute butt off. He's, regarded as one of the best work ethics on the entire team. And I can say, a lot of people don't think of James Robinson as, an athletic marvel because he doesn't have a good 40 time, but he's one of the most strongest and explosive players on the team. He has one of the best squats on the team just in terms of his ability to in the weight room. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest to see him make, really the stunning kind of recovery he has made. It was just 212 days ago that he tore his Achilles. So I'm not surprised, and I think it's a great sign for him. And I think there is a real chance of him getting playing time in week 1. I wouldn't expect to see him in the preseason, but I think you'll see him practicing before week 1. And I think that there's a chance that he gets snaps out there against Washington.
What a boost that would be. What about Devin Lloyd? Should we be concerned about that?
I don't think there should be any concern. Devin Lloyd, like you mentioned, I saw working to the side today with trainers. He had a helmet on, so it's not a case where, maybe we saw in past years, like injuries such as with C.J. Henderson a couple of years ago, where it just seemed like it was like pulling teeth trying to get the guy back onto the field. With Lloyd, it seems like, they're genuinely just being cautious with him because they don't need him to automatically be on the field right now today. I think, maybe if there was a game coming up soon, maybe there'd be a little more urgency. But, the fact that this injury happened right at the start of training camp, I think they have all the time in the world. And, if this thing drags on for a couple weeks, then you can be concerned. But I think as of right now, it's not anything too serious.
As we all know, hamstrings linger, so get it taken care of. No need to rush Devin Lloyd back. Final moments here with John Shipley of Jaguar Report. John, I want to get your kind of thoughts on what to expect next week. Before we do that, for Jaguar fans listening, give them a guy, a veteran that's played 1 year, 2 years, however many for the Jaguars, that might be in danger of losing their roster spot this training camp. And on the flip side, give them a guy that maybe Jaguar fans don't know about that has a good chance of winning a roster spot this training camp.
Yeah, I think, a guy who could potentially be on the bubble that would surprise people is, in my opinion, Rudy Ford. And that's not, to knock Rudy Ford. I thought he was a really impressive player in spurts last year. Obviously, he had that great game against the Bills, but he is kind of a positionless player at times. He's played nickelback, he's played safety, he's been a gunner on special teams, and I'm just not sure there's room in the safety rotation or in the cornerback room for him to really, make a clear impact like he did last year. Last year, there was a clear spot for him in Joe Cullen's scheme. He would come on the field as an extra defensive back, even play some dime linebacker. This year, I'm not sure there's a spot like that for him. And just in terms of a guy who can surprise, I have been really blown away at times by Luwan Whittingham, the undrafted rookie free agent out of Central Arkansas. I know a lot of the focus when it comes to undrafted free agents has been on Kevin Austin, but Winningham to me has outperformed him both in the spring and so far through training camp. And, it's early, but he's made, eyebrow raising catches on both days of training camp so far. So I think if there's a sleeper, I think he's the one to watch.
I gave you credit for that last night, as a matter of fact. 6'3", 195. Winningham looks the part, and boy, he surely has played very well this offseason and in the first couple of days of training camp, because I remembered you mentioned him to me during OTAs, so I did mention that last night with Lawan Winningham. All right, John, wrap us up with this. Next week, the Hall of Fame game. I mean, heck, it's 9 days from right now, for crying out loud. That's incredible to think about. They don't put the pads on till the weekend, so not to burst anybody's bubble, but we're probably not going to see a lot of guys next Thursday night, correct?
I really don't think so. Doug Peterson hasn't been, there hasn't been a ton of discussion, at least in press conferences, about, the Hall of Fame game or anything like that. But in my opinion, I think you can just look to how some teams have done it in the past. Like, the Cowboys last year, they didn't have most of their starting players take reps. Tony Pollard, who is their number 2 backup, had just 2 touches during the Hall of Fame game last year. And I think you can look to really that kind of model. I don't think that you're going to see most of the starters. I don't think you're going to see guys who are banged up, like Darius Williams, who, he's obviously getting closer to 100%, but anybody who isn't 100%, I don't think you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see a guy like C.J. Beathard. It would surprise me if we even saw Trevor Lawrence, and if we did see him, it surprised me if we saw him for extended parts. So I think it is going to be more of a, not game kind of for show, because, they kind of have to be in it because of the Hall of Fame week. But I don't think it's a game that's going to be very useful in terms of evaluation.
Yeah, look, next week's all about Tony Boselli. We know that. We understand that. But the Hall of Fame game, something cool. Jaguars haven't played in it since 1995. And, again, it's only 9 days away from the Jaguars and the Las Vegas Raiders. John Shipley of Jaguar Report. John, thank you for the time, brother. Know you're busy this time of year. We appreciate it. We'll see you out at camp later this week.
Thanks for having me, man.
Well, there you go. John Shipley of Jaguar Report, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL here in Jacksonville. Day number 2 of Jaguar training camp in the books. Trevor Lawrence looked very, very sharp today. There is no question about that. It was a very good practice for Trevor Lawrence. And we'll see. They're back on the practice field tomorrow, back on the practice field Thursday. They will put the pads on this weekend. And again, we are 9 days away from the Jaguars and the Raiders in the Hall of Fame game there in Canton, Ohio. What a week next week's going to be. We've gotten our itineraries, 1010XL. We're all heading up there on Wednesday. I'll do Hacker After Dark Wednesday night and Friday night up in Canton, Ohio. Of course, Thursday, you will hear the broadcast of the Jaguars and the Raiders in the NFL Hall of Fame game, which will kick off the 2022 NFL preseason schedule. Well, that'll just about wrap it up for what has been a very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We got a lot of people to thank. Again, John Shipley of Jaguar Report, Mia O'Brien of 1010XL. You hear her every day on XL Primetime. The Book of Bo, Episode 3, got dropped yesterday. It is available on the 1010XL YouTube, 1010XL Facebook, where you hear most of your podcasts as well. Episode 4 comes out this Friday morning at 9 a.m. So thank you to Mia and Ira Schofel over in Tallahassee with warchant.com. As the Florida State Seminoles have reported to camp, they will have their first practice tomorrow afternoon, and they are 1 month exactly away from kicking off their season, Week 0, Saturday, August the 27th, against Duquesne. We will be back for a Wednesday night edition tomorrow night on Hacker After Dark from 8 o'clock until 10 o'clock. We hope you join us then. Much more on Jaguar training camp, as the Jaguars will be on the field tomorrow morning for practice number 3. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always, my friend. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green in Jacksonville. Thank you for hanging out with us late night tonight here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So for all of us at HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Tuesday night / Wednesday morning, and we will do it all over again on a Wednesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Dan Hicken.
It's all mine. It's all me.
Jeff Prosser.
You can't keep me cooped up in here, okay?
Together they are The Drill.
This is the stuff that legends are made of.
Weekday mornings on 1010XL.
This is for close friends only. Hey, I'm a friend.
It's a sale so big, there's only one name that fits. It's the Big One Sales Event, and it's going on now at Arlington Toyota. Ready for some new Toyota inventory? How about 400 new Toyotas available? See, I told you it was big. Plus, you get 30 days to love your new purchase or exchange it, and a lifetime warranty with your new Toyota purchase. Unlimited time and miles. Look for the big red tent. It's the Big One Sales Event at Arlington Toyota. Shop in person at 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online at arlingtontoyota.com today.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Universal Roof and Contracting.
Protect your roof from hurricanes with a complimentary roof inspection with Universal Roof and Contracting. Get $250 off a roof repair and $500 off a roof replacement project with a free warranty upgrade for first responders and veterans. Plus, no money down, no payments or interest for 1 year.
Offer expires July 31st. Restrictions apply.
License number CCC 1330747, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com.
Ladies, are you interested in golf but not sure where to start? Well, golf needs a little refreshment, and we believe the answer is female. You are invited to be part of LEGS, the Lady Executive Golf Society, a place for business for women of all levels to come together in an exclusive environment to learn about golf, grow their businesses, laugh, and improve your game. Join us for our signature events, where you choose 9 and Wine or a group lesson every first and third Wednesday of each month, where we can grow and learn together. Go to ladiesexecutivegolf.com.